If you want, you know this just as well as I do. So, Steve, to your point, yes, we actually, hopefully we can keep cutting the enzyme costs down so that we can actually sell more. So I'm happy that you all are doing that research. I think that's great. And we're definitely actively working on getting that first plant built here in North Carolina. So my name is James Croonenberg, as Jacob said. I work on the cellulosic side here of Novozymes. I started off on the technical side, actually doing some research with Dr. Shabazi out at the A&T site, trying to work and degrade some biomass there. So I've been doing this around 10 years. I started at Novozymes about 7 years ago. And Novozymes has been at it longer, so 15 or so years at this point. Probably, if we knew how long it was going to take, I don't know if either of us would have started in this process. It's been a lot longer. It's been a hard road to walk. But we've seen significant improvement over the years. We started off back in 2001 with a DOE grant and steadily sort of grew, formed a big partnership with Beta Renewables, which is a plant they've got in Italy. And now in 15, we actually see that there's actually now 7 plants that are up and running with DuPont's plant that just started in the last couple days. So it's exciting times. And what Jacob had said before, where it's always 2 years away. It's something that I do have to say again. I think we're about 2 years away before we start seeing that growth that goes up. But I think it's important, or at least useful, to get a little bit of historical context. So what did it look like 2 years ago from now? Because it's been a little bit quieter than it's been in the past on our side of how the progress that we've been making. But so 2 years ago, the Beta Renewables plant opened. There were a couple other plants that were in the process of getting built in the U.S. and Latin America. We had a nice pipeline of projects that we could see, but things were a little bit slow in moving forward. And we had CTEC3 at the time. That was our enzyme that we were using. Now we actually have 7 of those plants that are running, so we've been able to upscale a lot. They've all hit hurdles, which is to be expected as you bring a new technology onto market. And we still see that there's actually a nice pipeline of projects that are out there globally and across a lot of different substrates. So I think we're to some extent de-risked on that front as well. And then from our perspective, we've taken a much different approach of, rather than just selling enzymes, we've actually begun to do a little bit more project development, which is a lot more exhausting. So I have a lot of respect for what you do. It's difficult work. So we're now in the process of trying to actually customize some of the enzymes that we do to make sure that they link well with the partner's process that they've got. So, of course, it's difficult. I think everybody is aware that there's oil pricing, as well as a lot of the regulatory uncertainty that's there has caused things to slow down significantly, which is unfortunate, but it's the reality that we live in right now. But fortunately, we get to work with a lot of the companies who have that vision, who actually believe in what we're doing, and know that oil is going to go up again. So you work with those players, they get to understand how the technology works, they get some cost advantage feedstocks, they get access to the technology early, and then they can really capitalize on it later. So that's good, but in the end, really I think the message that became clear to us as we started looking more into past markets and other markets is that this is going to be a marathon. I think we're all under the mindset of it was going to be the sprint. We saw the RFS numbers. We assumed that the plants were going to track that. It was going to be great business for Novozymes. We were going to be in it. Everybody was going to be happy. It's taken a lot more work to get there than we had expected. But we're still in it. We're still investing money, and our key partners are doing it as well. So what I wanted to do is look at 4 sort of analog industries, ones that have come into an energy space as a disruptive technology, to get an idea of maybe what we could expect with biomass as we roll it out. So what you'll notice is that there's a pretty long lag phase that happens from when the first plant gets built to when you sort of get in that hockey stick growth in your ramp up, somewhere 10, 20 years, depending on what the industry looks like. So whether it's coal, solar, wind, or corn ethanol or shale gas, it's that same trend that you see sort of over and over again. So why do we think that this trend could happen with biomass? I think it's sort of twofold. So one of them is Capex. We think, obviously, the plants now, they're expensive. We think that's going to come down. And we've seen that that happened in our nearest analog with corn ethanol. So if you look back in 81, whereas versus 2001, the Capex dropped about fourfold, which is great. So that gives us hope that we're going to be able to knock the Capex significantly down of these 2G plants. But I think more interesting is just in 4 years, they're able to drop it by a quarter. So after your first couple plants, you realize that there's these huge chunks of steel you don't have to build anymore. And a lot of these first plants that are up, they've got a lot of, it's over-engineered. They're not exactly sure which direction their process is going to aim. New enzymes are coming out. New pretreatment approaches are coming out as well. So there should be some expensive steel that we can take out quickly and then drive that overall cost down. And then I think the other is that when we look globally, we see that there's a lot of projects that are still, people are still interested in building these plants. So, and I think it's helpful that they're across multiple feedstocks, they're in different regions, and they're also using different process technologies. So we're not really tied to any one thing. There's a lot of people who are playing in lots of different spaces. And so depending on how the regulatory or local pricing changes, there should be progression in this biomass space here soon. So, but that's all sort of general stuff. Novozymes, what we're actually working on is trying to continuously improve the actual biotechnology that we have. So historically, we've taken this somewhat one-size-fits-all approach. We develop our C-Tech cellulase cocktail. We make sure it works on a couple substrates, and then we roll it out broadly to the market. We have seen, as we've done that, that we start running into past that 80-20 rule. The curve starts flattening out where the broad spectrum enzymes really work well. So we've taken more of a customized approach. And it's to Steve's point that he was making about the differences in pretreatments coupled with different chemistries that you find in your wood or softwood or grasses. And when you run those through a steam or an acid or an alkaline process, you're going to have hugely different, large differences in what the actual makeup and what the enzyme actually sees. So we've taken the approach now to work with the key partners who are progressing this industry to make sure that we actually have a cocktail that's going to work with the process that they have. And so now what you see is actually this seems to work. You never really know with research if it's going to play out or not. But we've seen with this new version of the enzyme we've got is that we're seeing a yield boost. We're seeing that people are able to reduce their OPEX in general. And we're having a broader activity sort of over the pH and temperature that you need to be able to operate in. So I think the main message to take away is that we see that this industry has been slower to move than we thought. The lag phase is definitely longer than we expected it to be initially. But we're in it, and the strategic partners, the people who really have that vision, are also in this space. And more people are joining still, which is great. And we're going to be here. So I think that there's a lot of benefits, as Sam was laying out, of what this industry can deliver to the world. And I think that we're at a nice place here in North Carolina where once we can get that first plant built, we can really start rolling it out further. So thank you.